Welcome to my channel. If you love coins, rare finds, and hidden treasures in your pocket change, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating history and value of two amazing U.S. quarter dollars, the 1965 quarter and the 1993 P quarter. Stay with me till the end because you might be holding a coin worth thousands of dollars without even realizing it. Let's begin with the 1965 quarter dollar, one of the most talked about coins in American coinage history. In the early 1960s, America faced a national coin shortage. People were hoarding coins made of silver because the price of silver was rising rapidly. Until 1964, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But by 1965, the cost of silver became too high for the government to keep producing silver coins. So, the U.S. Mint made a bold decision to remove silver from circulating coins entirely. Starting that year, quarters were made from a new, clad composition, a copper-nickel layer over a pure copper core. This change was so big that 1965 became the first year without any mint marks on U.S. coins to prevent collectors from hoarding them. The 1965 Washington quarter was produced at multiple mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but remember, no mint marks were used on any 1965 coins. Composition: outer layers, 75% copper, 25% nickel. Core: pure copper. Weight: 5.67 grams. Diameter: 24.3 millimeters. This new composition gave the quarter its distinctive dull gray color instead of the bright shine of silver. The total mintage of 1,965 quarters exceeded over 1.8 billion coins, a record-breaking number for that time. The obverse front features a portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932. The word Liberty arches across the top, with "In God We Trust" on the left and the date 1965 below. The reverse back shows a majestic bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness for war, with olive branches below for peace. Around the top is United States of America, and the bottom reads quarter dollar. Though the design didn't change, the metal inside did, marking the end of the silver quarter era. Now here's where things get really interesting. During the transition from 1964 to 1965, some silver planchets, left over 90% silver blanks, were accidentally used to strike 1965 quarters. These 1965 silver transitional era quarters are extremely rare and highly valuable. How to identify a silver 1965 quarter? Weight: a silver quarter weighs 6.25 grams, while a clad one weighs 5.67 grams. Color of the edge: the clad version shows a copper-colored stripe, while the silver version has a solid silver edge. 3. Sound test. When dropped on a hard surface, silver quarters make a higher-pitched ring sound, while clad quarters sound dull. One of these rare 1965 silver quarters sold for over $8,000 at auction, and others have sold for even more, depending on condition and grading. Aside from the silver transitional errors, there are other valuable mint mistakes collectors love. Some 1965 quarters show doubling on the word Liberty or "In God We Trust." If the design is not centered on the coin, especially more than 10% off value, increases drastically. Clip planchet, a quarter with a missing curved edge or a small section, is considered a mint error and collectible. Missing layers. Some 1965 quarters show the copper core or have missing nickel layers, another rare and valuable error type. Depending on the error and condition, these coins can range from $100 to $5,000 or more. The value of a 1965 quarter depends on its grade, condition, and errors. Circulated 1965 quarters, worth face value 25 cents. Uncirculated condition, around $1 to $5. Proof-like or mint condition, can fetch $10 to $50. Silver transitional error, can reach $8,000 to $15,000 plus. If you have a 1965 quarter, weigh it carefully and check its edge. You might just have a hidden treasure in your pocket change. The 1965 quarter started the modern coinage era in the U.S. Over 1.8 billion pieces were made, Yet only a few hundred silver errors are known to exist. It's the only year when no mint marks appeared in quarters despite multiple mint locations. Some 1965 quarters were even struck on dime planchets, creating ultra-rare mini-size quarters. When the U.S. Mint introduced clad coinage in 1965, coin hoarding was a serious national issue. Collectors were grabbing every coin with a mint mark, especially from San Francisco or Denver. To stop this, the U.S. Mint decided to remove mint marks completely from 1965 through 1967. So, even though quarters were struck at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, none carry a mint mark. This move successfully reduced hoarding, but it also created confusion for collectors trying to trace mint origins. Before mass production began, the Mint tested several trial planchets made of different metal compositions, including copper nickel, silver, and experimental alloys. Some of these experimental pattern coins still exist today, and they're extremely rare. A few of them were struck accidentally with proof dies and escaped the mint, making them worth tens of thousands of dollars. 1965 wasn't just a change in metal, it was a monetary revolution. It ended over 170 years of silver coinage in the United States. President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Coinage Act of 1965, officially removing silver from dimes and quarters and reducing it to 40% in half dollars. He famously said, "No proof coins were made in 1965, but instead, the Mint produced special mint sets SMS from 1965 to 1967. The 1965 SMS quarter is different from circulation coins it has a sharper strike, a smooth satin-like fineness, no mint mark, higher quality overall. These were sold directly to collectors and are highly sought after today, especially in grades SP68 or SP69, some selling for $1,000 or more. Besides the silver transitional error, here are lesser-known but valuable varieties. Broad strike error, the coin appears larger because the retaining collar failed during minting. Die clash. Impressions of the reverse design can be seen faintly on the obverse and vice versa. Wrong planchet errors. Some 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on nickel or dime planchets. These are usually underweight and smaller than normal. Struck through grease error. Part of the design looks missing or faded due to oil or grease on the die. Each of these can raise value depending on visibility and condition some up to $2,000 or more. If you look at the edge of a clad 1965 quarter, you'll see a brownish-orange copper ring the exposed copper core between the nickel layers. Collectors use this edge color to easily tell if it's clad copper or silver. If the edge is solid silver with no copper color, it could be a transitional error, a jackpot find. Now, let's move to the 1993 P. Washington quarter, another interesting modern coin with surprising value in high grades. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, honoring the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first U.S. president. Originally, these coins were made of 90% silver, but by 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition due to the rising price of silver. By 1993, the quarter had been in circulation for more than 60 years, and that year's design still featured the famous bust of George Washington on the obverse and the American eagle on the reverse. The 1993 P quarter was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the small letter P just next to Washington's ponytail. Denomination, 25 cents. Year, 1993. Mint mark P, Philadelphia. Designer, John Flanagan. Composition, copper-nickel clad 75% copper, 25% nickel. Weight 5.67 grams. Diameter 24.3 millimeters. Edge reeded with tiny grooves. The Philadelphia Mint produced a massive 639,276,000 quarters in 1993. That's over 639 million coins. So, yes, it's a common coin for circulation, but don't be fooled. Rare varieties and errors can turn this ordinary coin into a collector's treasure worth thousands. Let's take a closer look at the design. On the obverse, you'll see George Washington facing left, the word Liberty above his head, and In God We Trust to the left. The date, 1993, appears at the bottom, with the mint mark P just beside the ponytail. On the reverse, the majestic bald eagle stands proudly on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing strength and peace. Around the top are the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, while the denomination $quarter sits at the bottom. This is where things get exciting, even though most 1993 P quarters are worth face value. Certain error coins can bring huge money at auctions. Let's explore the top ones. If the design is struck off-center, say, 10% to 60% off its value, can range from $50 to $500, depending on how much the design is missing. A popular variety where the date or letters like Liberty and I in God We Trust appear doubled. These can sell for $100 to $1,000, depending on the strength of the doubling. When part of the coin's edge is missing due to a miscut blank. Value: $30 to $150. Coins struck without a proper collar, giving them a wider, flattened look. These can bring $20 to $100. Small raised lines or blobs caused by cracks in the minting die, minor ones, are worth a few dollars, but large die breaks can fetch $200 or more. Missing clad layer. If one side of the coin is copper-colored instead of silver nickel, it means the clad layer is missing. These can be very valuable, $250 to $800, depending on condition. The majority of 1993 P quarters in circulation are heavily worn, but if you find one in mint state, MS condition, its value jumps significantly. Here's a quick value guide. MS-60, around $1. MS-63, $3 to $5. MS-65, $10 to $15. MS-67, $100 to $250. MS-68, over $1,000 plus, depending on eye appeal and luster. In fact, the highest recorded auction price for a 1993 P quarter graded MS-68 by PCGS was over $2,500. Always check your coins under good lighting or a magnifier for details like luster, sharpness, and absence of scratches. To identify a valuable 1993 P quarter, look closely at the date and lettering for doubling. Check both sides for off-center or misaligned strikes. Examine the rim for any missing metal or odd shapes. Compare your coin with reference images from PCGS or NGC websites. Even small errors can make a big difference, so always check before spending. If you find a high-grade or error coin, handle it carefully by the edges, never touch the surface. Store in a plastic flip, 2x2 holder, or airtight capsule. Avoid cleaning your coin. Cleaning can reduce its value dramatically. Consider professional grading from PCGS NGC or ANAX for maximum value. The 1993 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest mints in the United States, operating since 1792. In 1993, Philadelphia didn't just produce quarters, it also struck cents, nickels, and half dollars. The mint used advanced coining presses capable of striking more than 700 coins per minute. Despite the speed, small mechanical shifts often cause minor die cracks, weak strikes, and misalignments, which are the source of many collectible errors today. The 1993 P quarter isn't made of silver, it's a clad coin. That means it has an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a core made of pure copper. If you look at the edge carefully, you'll notice the copper stripe between the two silvery layers. This copper core gives the coin its strength and helps prevent corrosion, one reason why even 30 years later these coins still appear shine. Most 1993 P quarters have average strike quality, meaning some fine details on Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers might appear slightly flat. Collectors always look for coins with strong, bold details and mirror-like surfaces. Such pieces are known as full strike coins and are very desirable in mint state grades, MS-67 or higher. Each die used to strike quarters can make roughly 750,000 to 1 million coins before being replaced. When dies weren't changed on time, they developed cracks, chips, or worn spots, creating die variety coins that now hold collector value. Some 1993 P dies show faint lines on the field or doubling near the date, small but profitable details. Here are some key terms collectors use when talking about 1993 P quarters. Planchet the blank metal disc before it struck into a coin. Die clash when the obverse and reverse dies hit each other without a planchet between them, creating ghost-like impressions. Machine doubling, a minor form of doubling caused by vibration in the press, not true doubling, but interesting to spot. Die gouge, a raised bump caused by a scratch or mark on the die, sometimes forms odd shapes or letters that attract attention. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have graded thousands of 1993 P quarters, but only a handful of coins have ever reached MS68 condition, making them extremely rare. In population reports, over 1,000 coins exist in MS65, around 200 to 250 coins in MS67, only a few dozen in MS68. This makes high-grade examples a hot target for registry collectors. The 1993 P quarter is still common in the U.S. circulation today. It was part of the last generation of quarters before the statehood quarter series began in 1999. That means this coin represents the final years of the classic Eagle reverse, which ended a 67-year design era. Although Philadelphia made circulation coins, some collectors confuse them with proofs. Here's how to tell. Proof coins are struck multiple times, with mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs. Philadelphia circulation coins have a duller finish and often minor scratches. So, if your 1993 P looks extremely shiny but lacks the S mint mark, it's still not a proof, just well preserved. Even though 1993 P quarters are modern, their value could grow over time. Why? Because error varieties and top-grade coins are being pulled out of circulation every year, reducing availability. In 20 to 30 years, clean, uncirculated examples may become much rarer, just like 1960s quarters are today. And that's the story of the 1965 and 1993 P quarter dollars, two coins that might look ordinary but can hide extraordinary value. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with other coin lovers. Also, comment below, tell me which coin you want me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where every coin tells a story.